All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Pod with Hadyn Paszkiewicz. My guest today is one of the coolest homies I've ever met in my life, especially at work. And he's really, like I said in the JoJo episode, this is one of the main guys that truly told me to take the leap and start the podcast. So today we got Willard on the pod. We're out here in beautiful Austin, Texas, in his sick ass pad. And man, Willard, all I could think about on the ride here was, what's your inside scoop on the Rainy Street Ripper, brother?
The Rainy Street Ripper? He's me.
It's you.
Now's a good time to come out. I don't have an inside scoop. So I watched like a documentary on YouTube, and I kind of subscribe to the theory that there's no killer. I don't think it exists. I think that what's happening is there's, based on what the YouTube guy said, he claims that basically there's people that go around to different bars and they drug people to steal their money.
And then these people
They accidentally die.
they're dying.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so I'm kind of leaning towards that explanation.
So you don't want to go the full route of like foul play.
No, I suspect no foul play,
See, I've heard that.
which is what the serial killer would tell you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It sounds it sounds like you might be him.
Yeah.
But I've also heard it's a her, like a good-looking woman.
What's the theory behind that? Is it it's dudes that are dying?
Yeah, because
right?
it's like, I think guys that are anywhere from like what, early 20s to early 30s that are just popping up dead, right? So one of the people's like main theories was it's a really attractive woman that is luring these guys in, killing them, and then they end up floating in later.
That'd be a way better story.
I think that'd be a fantastic story because what a way to go out, you know?
I agree.
As a homie. But another story that when it initially was going on, which I mean I live in Houston, so I don't get too much of the scoop, but they were thinking it was the police, and the reason that people were thinking it was the police, from what I heard, is that they initially just kind of wrote it off, like oh, you know, it's just kind of happening. These are just drunk dudes falling in the river. But man,
It would be the perfect cover, right? Like there's nothing going on here.
yeah, it sounds like maybe a cop is doing it and they know he's doing it.
Probably did. Probably.
But man, so Willard, you're from Maine,
State of Maine.
state of Maine. What other than work, what initially drew you to Texas? Was there like any like drawing forces?
There was several reasons. I love Texas, just on principle. I think that, I mean, just objective. Like, there's no state income tax, which is pretty
Yeah.
attractive for any young professional.
Of course.
But I think I always just, particularly Austin and the area, like Hill Country, even before I lived out here, I've always just thought that this was one of the most beautiful places
Yeah.
in the United States, bar none.
Now, did you think like when you got here, people were going to be riding horses and wearing cowboy hats and shit?
I suspected more. There's no, like, where are the horses? No cowboys. I don't see them anywhere.
I think it's because like I mean, you're in Austin, right? So Austin is more city. Now, when you grow up in like more like rural, for lack of a better term, areas like where I grew up, like you'll see that people have farms and stuff like that. But it's crazy how that became like the main like theory. Like, oh, where are the horses? Where are the? As a matter of fact, like when I was in Italy, I met this older couple at a restaurant we were eating at, and they were from Canada.
Yeah.
And the woman said she had come to Houston at one point, which, mind you, Houston is concrete jungle for majority of it. And her thing was, she goes, I didn't see any horses or cowboys. I'm like, listen, that's not how it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to Maine and being like, where are all the igloos? I thought there were igloos
Yeah,
everywhere.
I thought there was igloos and just other stuff like that around there.
Eskimos.
So had you visited before you moved, or it was just kind of like a let's do this thing?
So I've moved to Texas twice now. That's how much I like it.
Yeah.
The first time before I moved here, I've never been. When I moved to Texas the first time, I moved to League City, and that's just outside of Houston. And I liked it, but I started visiting Austin as I started exploring more parts of the state. And when I lived in League City and was visiting Austin, I was just like, man, this place is so cool. You know, and I mean, it was mostly just coming here like on 6th Street with my boys.
Yeah, just having a time.
But it struck me how like clean this place is. And the people just have kind of a certain vibe about them that I enjoy. Not to mention the live music, that's kind of the big thing.
Yeah, so you're a musician, Willard.
Yeah.
And the more time I get to spend with you, which mind you, you wouldn't know, but we live half the year together on a dirty old tugboat. But
it's clean. It's pretty clean.
It's actually pretty clean. But so I learned more and more about you. How did you get into music? Like, was there like did someone put it on you, or did you naturally start wanting to play guitar, wanting to do all these other things?
Combination of both. So both sides of my family, like my mom's side and my dad's side, have a ton of musicians in them. Particularly on my dad's side, my dad's brother was a singer and guitar player.
Oh,
He played in bars. Like, he was locally very well known. And then, you know, that whole side of the family, like my earliest memories of like family reunions and things of that nature were always like, it was music centralized. Like at the end of the night, there would be a guitar out and everyone would be passing it around. And that's some of my fondest childhood memories.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so I was just always around it, you know. And like my dad, he plays a few chords on the guitar. He wasn't like super into it, but we always had guitars around.
Yeah.
And then my mom isn't a musician, but she's definitely like a great appreciator of music. And so I think, you know, I was just raised on like music from the 60s and 70s, and it just kind of, it was almost a process of like osmosis. Like, I just naturally started picking up the guitar.
Yeah.
And I was like 11 years old, I think, when I got my first one on my own.
Do you remember what your first guitar was?
Yes. So I wasn't allowed to touch my dad's guitar, which was the Martin. You've seen it.
Yeah.
It's actually in the other room. That was my dad's guitar.
Oh.
And that was like the item of obsession growing up. Like, that guitar was underneath my parents' bed, and we were not allowed to touch it because it was so nice to it. It was like, you two are too destructive.
Yeah.
And so we would I remember being a kid with my younger brother, and like my parents were at work and we were home from school, and I would sneak in and we would open up the case and just like lightly brush the strings. We're like, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And so I finally got my own guitar. Yeah. So it was actually, oddly enough, it was called an Austin guitar.
Dude, universe.
It looked like a Fender Stratocaster Squire, like a cheap one, but it was an alternative brand. It's called Austin.
So it was electric. It wasn't acoustic.
Electric, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that's crazy. I mean, we've talked about this before, but you told me that it doesn't really matter where you start. Like, I feel like in my head, I felt like, because I dabble in a little bit of guitar, Willard has influenced that as well, but
It's pretty good.
I felt like in my head that I needed to start with acoustic, learn, then go to electric. So, but that's crazy. I didn't know you started with electric.
Yeah. I think you're right. It doesn't matter. I tell people who are starting off, I get asked every once in a while, like, some advice for, you know, beginning.
Yeah.
And I always just say, whatever keeps you going back to the well, you know, like, if you want to be an electric guitar player, if that's like who you idolize, if you idolize Jimmy Page or John Mayer, or Clapton, whoever the fuck you're,
your guy.
Do whatever keeps you coming back to practice. Do it. Acoustic is harder to play, objectively.
Really?
Yeah, it's harder to press down the strings on acoustic.
So I've been playing on hard mode this whole time.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want an electric? I'll give you one of these, bud.
So that's crazy. But so outside of music, what's kind of piquing your interest at the moment? Because I feel like we're alike in the sense of like we pick up on things and become moderately obsessed with them.
Yeah.
So what's piquing your interest at the moment, brother?
Oh God, what's not piquing my interest is a better question.
What do you find yourself chewing on lately?
Dude, I've been getting into. Don't let this come across as me trying to appear smart, but I've been binging like space and astrophysics content on YouTube.
So you're still cranking it?
Still going.
Have you made any discoveries?
I've got a lot of fun facts.
Rip one.
There's a few mind-blowing ones. Like, I'm just fascinated with the scale of things, and I think we touched on it.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, we talk about pretty much everything. We talk about so much shit.
Yeah, of course.
Like I was, you know, you think of let's just dive into black holes for a moment.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So a black hole is a collapsed star.
Yep.
And it literally tears through the fabric of space-time, and we don't know anything about them other than that. Like, it's just this big vacuum, and you can't. It's the gravitational pull is so strong that light cannot pass through it.
That's why it's so crazy.
That's why it's called a black hole. And so you would think of it like if we had a black hole in our solar system, you would think that everything would just get sucked in. But what I learned last week on my binge, was that if you took, it would just be like another planet. It's all dependent on the mass and how close you get to the event horizon. So this is so weird. I'm talking about this.
No,
but like,
dude, this is what's cool to you, man.
If it blew my mind. Like if you had a black hole that had the same mass as the sun, or as the Earth.
Okay.
It would be about the size of a plum. Like that's how dense.
That's how strong they are.
That's how dense it is of mass. But if you would put that black hole where the Earth is, it would have the same. It would be the same amount of mass in the fabric of space-time, and so the moon would just orbit it like normally. It would just continue to orbit the sun, which I thought was pretty cool.
Dude, that is insane.
Yeah.
There's that much density.
Yeah, think of all the size of the Earth and all that matter in the size of a plum.
It's heavy.
Yeah, heavy as fuck.
That's heavy, dude. So what initially, how do you get into that?
Just the YouTube algorithm, brother.
It just brought it to you?
Yeah, I like to listen to, there's a few guys, of course, I think Brian Bates is one of them. There's a guy named Scott, I'm going to blow it. There's a few astrophysics guys.
Yeah.
Who are like, Neil deGrasse Tyson is like the most famous one.
Yeah.
But there's other guys that kind of like.
Are they better than Neil deGrasse Tyson?
No, it's all about, it's subjective. I find them a little bit more appealing for whatever reason.
Yeah. I feel like Neil is, man, sometimes he's a little pretentious. And people have caught him in his lies too. Like the most recent one, or not lies, they caught him messing up. Like he was making fun of Dune, how he was like, oh, if you drum on the sand, no one's gonna hear it. Someone literally within a day of him saying that started beating on sand, and you could hear it from a good distance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he,
Isn't it like in that movie? Isn't it like a certain kind of sand that's like
drum sand, bro?
Drum sand, of course.
Yeah, dude. Okay, to tell y'all, I actually put Will on Dune, which is one of my greatest. Okay, Will is a connoisseur of many things. Like very rarely can I say something to him and it'd be like, oh, I never heard. Not in a dickhead way, but he's like, oh yeah, that's fucking sick. And I'm like, God damn it, he already knows about it. But so he didn't know about Dune, and I think that is, man. If you guys haven't watched Dune or even read the book, highly recommend. But yeah, that drum sand, that was a thing, and they caught him on it, and he didn't really have a rebuttal.
Dune, I mean, that was one of the best movie recommendations I've ever received. So yeah. Thank you very much for that.
Of course, brother.
I've shown my mom and my brother.
Yeah.
So
it's
thank you.
They call it Dune is actually called the grandfather of sci-fi. That book was so influential it created a genre. That's it's almost on the same level as Tolkien and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. It's like I never heard of it though before. I don't know.
That's one of those things, and we've talked about this in terms of fame before, how fame has changed so much. But that is one of the most famous books of all time, and you and I had never heard of it before.
Yeah. What year was that? Was that the 70s?
I think it might have been late 60s when it came out. Don't quote me, any of you, but yeah, and it influenced so much. Yeah, it was late 60s because it came out before Star Wars. Star Wars was influenced by Dune, and what's funny about that is Frank Herbert, the guy who wrote Dune, got pissed because there were so many similarities in Star Wars that he took the time and wrote like, oh, this is this from Dune. This is this from Dune. This is this from Dune. Dude, and there, it's published.
No kidding.
Yeah, that was his way of clapping back. He didn't like outwardly, attack George Lucas, but he was like, listen, if you're gonna bite my flow, brother, you gotta give me some credit.
Pay the piper.
Yeah, of course. But man, music. Do you what about music is interesting to you right now? Because we were talking off camera, and you said you had gotten to a rut, and you're officially out of it. So what helped to bring you out of that rut?
Well, rut may be a strong word, but
Or lull. Let's use lull.
lull. Yeah, it's just kind of like, because I've been learning. I mean, I'm pushing 20 years of playing now.
Yeah.
I almost always have a project going on in terms of like what I'm trying to learn next, or
Dude, I'm
like
choking my Topo Chico.
Oh.
Keep going.
Okay. Take a haul myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes I'll just like you run into, it's natural in life no matter what you're doing creatively, but you're gonna run into times where you're just not feeling that inspired. Like you don't get excited for what you're doing, and it's just like it'll happen to everybody, no matter. I guarantee it's happened to you. And
Dude, everything.
yeah, and for me, what I have to do, I can't power through a rut, is what I've learned. I have to physically remove myself from the medium. And so like you called it out, you're like, hey, you haven't brought your guitar on the boat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I just need the space.
Yeah.
And then like I came back after crew change Wednesday, and I was just like, it was like a magnet. I just went right to it. I recorded like 3 or 4 ideas. I'm right back into it. So
That's so sick.
yeah, and it's just it's all about just maintaining your excitement for doing something is really important when you're pursuing something like a lifetime thing.
Yeah, of
When
course.
you stick through it, you're gonna go through all sorts of.
Yeah, because to you, I feel like music in general, you view in the same way that I view like bodybuilding. Like that's your baby.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was the same way when you first like learned a few chords, you got that itch. And I remember, dude, I can remember the exact day when I like it like made sense to me. Which, mind you, I mean, I grew up watching my dad. My dad is, as you know, I mean, you worked with him, you know
dad's the
him.
man.
Yeah, a freak. I mean, you guys, if you watch the episode with my dad, you'll see that he is a monstrous man.
Love you, Paul.
And yeah, we gotta love Pauly P, man. And so I grew up. It was almost in the same way as like the guitar under the bed. Like I was watching my dad train, but he was like, "You can't." And so when he finally let me, there was some initial kickback, right? Like I didn't fall in love with it immediately because it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
But dude, I can remember we were training arms one day, and I was doing some overhead tricep extensions, and I started getting close to failure. And I remember the reps got so hard that my like vision got blurry. And I remember going, dude, I love this feeling. And so I'm sure that's the same. There was some sort of moment where you were like, man, this is what I like. Do you remember that moment at all?
Oh, gee. I mean, there's been a few. I think just the inherent satisfaction of like, you listen to something and you go, that's fucking cool. That's really sick.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then you start trying to learn and you realize, oh my God, this is.
I can do this.
Well, it's almost like at first you're going, I can't, like, this is impossible. How is he doing this? And then that process of failing over and over, it's just like you going for like a max bench or whatever.
Yeah.
You go for it over and over and you work over and and you fail.
Yeah.
Again and again. And then you finally fucking nail it. And that feeling is like, that puts you, like for me, there's few things more satisfying than that. And then when you can take that effort and that result and bring it for other people. Yeah. And for other people to, get a positive reaction out of that, or like we can kind of share in that moment. Yeah. That's what it's all about, man.
So do you think music is your purpose? Oh, okay. Let's backtrack a little bit. What do you think the purpose of life, not the meaning, but what do you think the purpose of life is?
The purpose of life?
I'm sure you've dabbled in this.
Yeah, I think the question comes up to everybody at some point. I don't know. It seems like life, in the terms of, in the grand scheme of things, of what we observed in the universe, so far, all we know about life is that it is exceptionally rare. And so I think if there is a purpose to life, actually, I'm not even sure if it matters, to be honest, there's a purpose.
That's a take. That's a good take.
It's so rare and so special. It should be considered like it's like
you should cherish it.
It's a very sacred thing.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're religious or not.
Yeah.
It's a very, like being alive, life itself, very, very rare, very, very special.
Dude, you just becoming the one sperm that made it is like kick ass. Like,
I agree.
There was, what, hundreds of thousands of them or whatever there's a number that per ejaculate. And dude, you were the one guy, the strongest swimmer.
I know.
like you said, it's so rare.
Yeah.
And I think that is the coolest thing ever. And like that's why, which we won't go into religion or anything because that tends to scare people away, but like that's what makes me start to think there is some sort of creator, how everything is perfect. Like if it's one notch to the left or one notch to the right, like none of this would happen.
Yeah.
But man, so you think for you, what is your purpose?
Oh, jeez.
What makes Willard Willard?
I don't know, dude. I think I'm just trying to. I mean, I'm just trying to make the most of my ability, and trying to be good. I think is just a good, like that's a poor way to articulate it probably, but like just trying to be a good person, trying to do the right thing is a worthwhile pursuit. So
was there ever, because me personally, I don't think people are born good, right? Like I think there's something that sways everyone
You think they're born evil?
Not necessarily evil, but I don't think people are just born good. Like it's not that you're evil, but maybe you're in this lull, right? Like I feel like you're this kind of clay pot before, right? Or not a clay pot, but like a mound of clay, right? And you can either be swayed to either. So was there ever a time that you were not so good that because dude, you are by far the only person I've ever seen that I can't make mad or haven't witnessed mad, especially in our line of work. There's so many things. Like, dude, I've watched you weather some of the shittiest situations that I've seen on boats, and you just go, well, it is what it is. How did you get to that?
I mean, I'm not always happy.
No one is.
I definitely like, especially at work, I've definitely been irritable. I don't think I've always been in a great mood around you, but I mean, yeah, I think I've been through enough so far. I'm 20. I'm pushing 30.
You're old as fuck, dude.
I'm old as fuck. Actually, we should get into turning 30 and why it's to be embraced.
Okay, we'll talk about that. But finish up what you were saying.
I think just I'm so used to. I've been an engineer on tugboats for I don't even know how many years now. Since I was 22. So like,
dude, that's when I started as well.
Yeah, hell yeah. I've seen so many shit shows in my life that a shit show doesn't really move the bar that much.
It lost its sting to you?
It still stinks, but it's like oh, we've been here before. We can.
Yeah.
And you've weathered all your bad days, and so why would this one be any different?
A good thing about that, before we get into the embracing the turning 30 thing, because that is something that actually scares the shit out of me, this is something I tell to people when they say they had a bad gym session, and this can be applied to everything, right? Whether it's a bad day, bad week, whatever. You're only comparing that to your greatest week or your greatest day or your greatest training session. That's why you think it's bad. It could be inherently good.
Yeah.
So that's how I've learned to look at.
It is all relative.
Yeah, every single thing in life is relative. You can, you choose how you perceive things. I like to say the term like perception is reality. There's really no other way to put it, but I need to let me reset this. So why do you think turning 30 should be embraced, bro?
I've had this conversation a lot.
So you've chewed on it.
Yeah, I've chewed on it. I think when I was in my early 20s, like when you hit 24, 25, you go, I'm not that far away from 30. You know, like you look back, you're like, 19 is basically the same distance away.
Yeah.
And so that's a puzzle. That can throw you through a loop.
Yeah.
And I think I was more like, damn, that's crazy at that point. And the closer every year that goes by, genuinely, man, I feel like I've been 30 for like a minute now.
What does it mean to be 30?
30 is if 30 was handed out based on merit, like if it was based on life experience.
Okay.
If it was a title that they gave you, I've been 30 for a hot minute. I've been 30 since like 25, bro.
So
every year that goes by, you get smarter, you have more resources, you're more comfortable with yourself. Your knowledge gets better. Everything, if you play your hand correctly, like not every year gets better like it's a linear thing.
yeah.
But you as a person, if you're playing your cards correctly, like you are, like you're attentive, you're open to change, you're a hard worker.
Yeah.
You just like yourself better every year, I think. And
Yeah.
bad things will happen, like when you're 28, some shit might happen. Maybe it's not a great year, but you yourself are getting more experienced. All that shit.
I feel like, because I was on a string of like from 22 all the way to 25, I was having increasingly great years. And I mean, this, not to go into too much detail about, I mean, we've talked about it off camera, but like this year has not been the best, but we're just about halfway through, right? Like you said, you have to play your cards the correct way. And I feel like this back half of the year should be pretty good. But man, I feel like I'm sort of the same way. I went through a little bit of shit whenever I was young, and it forced me to mature earlier. Not that I'm the most mature person ever, because I still act like a goofball
Me too.
every so often. Yeah, and I think you should. I think everyone should.
Right.
But dude, it was really hard for me in high school because I had grown up around adults doing the things that my high school friends were doing. So it lost its like jive for me, basically. Like it wasn't as cool like when my friend, like I don't drink or anything like that because I watched these adults get destroyed. Not to go too dark, but like these adults destroy their lives, right in front of me as a young child.
Oh yeah.
So it forced me to grow up. So
yeah, you have to mature.
maybe I've been 30 all
You've been 30 since the womb. So.
Dude, I think I might have been. But man, there was something I wanted to ask you, but I can't.
I guess just to put a pin on the 30 thing, it's like, it really is just an age. And if you're like me, like by the time you're 29, I'm just like, just give me it, Like
Yeah.
30s is a great decade. It's nothing to be afraid of. You should be aiming to gracefully surrender those things of youth. Not everything. You should still act a fool and have as much fun as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But a stupid age, like you're gonna be 50 someday, being like, I was really screwed up about turning 30. What a wimp.
So kind of just relish in what you have at the moment,
Yeah.
rather than be scared of what's in front of you.
Yeah. There's plenty of things that are worth being worried about, and turning 30 is not on the top list.
There's a Stoic saying kind of that relates to that in a little bit, in a way. I forget who it was, but one of those philosophers, they said we suffer more in our minds than in reality itself. So I think people probably put it in their mind that whenever you get to 30, life is just gonna like either get really bad or whatever. And so I feel like that could be part of the the scarcity of
You turn 30 and you immediately get back hair and your knee starts hurting.
Yeah, I think that might be what people are afraid of. But dude, I don't know. I feel like I'm in a season of life where like I just want to perfect the things that I'm working on, and I think something I struggle with is not putting the time in that I know I need to for certain things. Like with guitar, dude, I'll get on a roll and then get bored. And when I know, I'm like, hey, you should pick that up and practice for like at least a few minutes a day. and I'll look at it, and it's kind of like the Joker mask. He's like, coward. Like, you know? I just run away from it. But, man. So, dude, you're one of the people that put me on, or you are the person who put me on chess. Do you feel like you've been playing better chess since we've got off the boat?
No, I'm still trash. I love the game. The game does not love me back, dude.
So, have you made any progress, like, in terms of your little quest that you've been on?
Oh, so the quest. So just for reference, Hadyn picked up chess. Was it last watch or the watch before?
Watch before.
Yeah, so he picked it up, and I was thrilled because I've been playing chess for a couple years. Not very good. But anyway, so Hadyn started off. I think you were like 100 blitz
bottom
score,
of it.
and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make an account, and I'm gonna bring it all the way down to 100, and then I'm gonna like work it back up so we can start. You know, and I thought I was gonna cruise back up to like 700 or 800, and I got stuck at like 350.
Are you still there?
Yeah. It's so demoralizing. I thought I was so much better.
So, dude, I feel like, and this could just be the algorithm, but I feel like it's becoming more popular. Like, even with other, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm just watching more chess videos or whatever, but
it was, well, it was fucking, the pandemic happened and Queen's Gambit came out.
dude, that's what did it for me.
Yeah, there was a huge wave of folks that started, there was a chess boom.
Yeah.
And then all those streamers, shout out Hikaru,
Yeah.
Gotham Chess. If you're getting into chess, check those guys out. But they're like huge now, like they're famous chess streamers.
Dude, so I've been watching you play since we've been on the boat together.
Months,
and
yeah.
Months. And then I had rewatched Queen's Gambit again, and I was like, okay, it's time. And I just got so fascinated with the fact that, like, you can quantify how good you are. Like, I'm already noticing just, almost a month in, like, I'm noticing things that I wasn't noticing before. And, dude, that's what attracts me to, like, anything. Like, the fact that you can quantify how good you are, or get better at things. Oh, dude.
It's addicting. Yeah. Because you start to think that you've got it. Like, you're like, oh, I'm seeing like tactics, and I know that they just messed up pretty bad. And you get excited, and then you blunder your queen,
and then everything
you're
comes.
like, no. And then like that's so addicting.
Oh, dude, it's the best feeling ever.
You're like, no, wait a minute, rematch, and like you get back into it.
Yeah. Dude, we were talking. I don't know why this just popped back in my head, but we were talking about Lord of the Rings earlier, and I had this thought last night because you've obviously watched them long before I did. Why was Sauron not invisible when he wore the ring?
Why was Sauron? Okay, great question. I have no idea.
Dude, that has been eating at me for the past like day and a half.
That's a great question. Maybe it's just like, well, he's the true master he's the true Lord of the Ring. So maybe it's got something to do with that. If you're an imposter, you just disappear. It's too much power for you. Like, you just vanish. Yeah,
because you notice, I mean, when Bilbo puts it on in The Hobbit, he's invisible. Frodo puts it on, he's invisible. But it didn't show you when, what's his name? Aragorn's dad. Or Aragorn.
Aragorn's dad.
Not Aragorn.
Frodo's dad?
No, the old king of men. The one who got corrupted by it.
Oh, Isildur.
Isildur. It didn't necessarily show him putting it on, but he got corrupted by it immediately. But dude, yeah, I've been chewing on that for a while. I'm like, why is he not? But I guess that makes sense.
I don't know. I mean, that shit'll fuck you up for sure.
Oh.
Look at Gollum, man.
Dude, do you think has there
tragic?
Has there ever been anything in life that kind of calls to you like the ring does, bro? I know what mine is.
What's yours?
Cigarettes.
Yeah?
Dude. And I don't smoke cigarettes. But dude, literally every time that I walk past, like I'll be at H-E-B shopping, and you know they have like the big wall of like tobacco products. Dude, the cigarettes are just calling my name. And I know, I'm like, dude, I can't. Because this is, mind you, I think cigarettes are cool as fuck. I don't care what anyone says. They're terrible for you, but I think they're fucking awesome. But yeah, cigarettes just, dude, I'll walk past it.
I love that take. Cigarettes are cool. That's such a great one.
Yeah, dude. Is there anything that calls to you like that?
More than a Marb brother?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's usually the spirits for me, man.
Oh, man, the spirits are great.
I think they just look cool in that package.
They do look sick, don't they? They really nailed that. I don't know. What calls to me like the ring? Maybe.
Try and keep it a little closer to your mouth.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good.
Maybe just like a Martin D28 when I walk into a guitar shop. It feels like it's speaking to me. It's like, buy me. And
Aren't those like, how expensive are those?
The ones that I want are like probably $6 or $7 grand.
Is that like a I made it type purchase? Or like, how do you view that?
It depends. It may just be like a really irresponsible purchase someday. I've always wanted one. They're just great. I mean, they're the quintessential like bluegrass guitar, basically.
Yeah, I think you were telling me about them.
Yeah. Like
what is it about that guitar that just scratches that itch for you?
It's just like the tradition. It's just like in my mind, like that's the ultimate.
Have you played one?
Acoustic guitar, yes.
How did it feel?
To be totally honest, it didn't blow my mind, but it's different. Every guitar is different. Like I can pick up a guitar that's worth $200.
Yep.
And feel like this is like the most playable thing. Like I really enjoy playing it. I feel connected. It's just built for my hand. And then I'll pick up one that I've played guitars that are over $10,000 before.
That's so sick.
And it's just like, And it's not about like the make and model as much as it's just.
Yeah, I actually just recently watched a TikTok from a music store, and they had like the Jimi Hendrix setup, like a legit one that was worth like $100,000. The amp, the pedal, everything, or the pedals, and then the guitar, everything. It was like $100,000.
Yeah. They
played a Jimi Hendrix riff, and then they did a budget version of it. And arguably, the budget version sounded better.
Yeah.
And dude, that's so crazy to me. Why do you think people put monetary value on things like that?
I think it comes down. I mean, raw materials. I feel like whatever, like the tuning knobs or like the nut is made out of illegal whalebone or whatever.
Like ivory from the tusk of a mammoth.
we had to actually, as a matter of fact, if you don't mind, a quick little detour.
Dude, go for it.
Me and my best friend Nick, we were at this like what you would call it. It's like an outdoor. It's almost like a farmer's market, just like an open market. It was in Bar Harbor, Maine, and this guy was selling guitar picks, and it was a woolly mammoth tusk, like ivory. And we're like, "Are you serious? Like, it's a woolly mammoth tusk?" And and he was like, "Yep, $20 or whatever it can be yours."
Did you buy one?
We both bought one.
We were like
19. I don't even think there's a moral conundrum about that. Like the woolly mammoths are gone, right? You can buy a ton. And so, but with our joke since then, it was always like, "Oh, that guy obviously ripped this off, dude." He was like, "Fucking idiots! It's just PVC." They thought it was woolly mammoth tusk.
Dude, I saw. Speaking of like woolly mammoths and shit like that, I saw not too long ago, and it's kind of like a conspiracy deal. Apparently, they had found a bunch of woolly mammoth bones in a river or something, or they found them somewhere, and the people wanted to sell them to the Smithsonian or some, museum or whatever, and the people who owned them were like, "Nah, fuck that," and they just dumped them in a river somewhere. And I remember going, "That is the most petty but badass thing that I've ever seen."
They were all standing around like, "Just toss it in the river, dude."
Dude, they said, "Fuck it, we don't want these assholes to have it." Dude, I actually I dabble in a little bit of conspiracy theories every now and then. I don't know if you do, but I saw last night, on TikTok again. You guys have heard me talk about how like take everything you hear on TikTok with a grain of salt, but this guy had this conspiracy theory that they have found more mummies in the United States than anywhere else.
Where?
I forget what state it was in, but this farmland had a sort of divot in the land, and so they started excavating.
Yeah.
And when they dug deep enough, they found a like passageway. Went down the passageway, found another passageway, and then it came to a tomb. And they found all this shit. And then he went on to say that there's been times where companies have been caught shipping things to Europe to make it seem like they found them there instead of finding them in the United States.
Really?
Dude, that intrigued me so much.
What year do you think they stopped doing the mummy thing?
Do they not do it anymore?
Did that fall out? Do they still do it?
Oh, dude,
They wrap people up and...
Oh, you're talking about like actually mummifying.
Yeah, what did you mean?
Oh, I thought you meant like people glorifying mummies.
No, I mean like actually like when people stop, they're like, that fell out of fashion. We don't really wrap people up anymore.
Yeah, we're not gonna pull all your innards out through your nose with a hook. Dude, some guy in Egypt or whatever, wherever they do it, they were like, dog, that's not cool anymore. Stop that.
Yo, whoa.
Just bury this guy.
Yo, just bury him. What the fuck are you doing?
Dude, I don't know. But I would like to shake that guy's hand. But I think they still do it in certain places, like tribal areas, probably like Amazon and stuff like that. But
I wonder. Yeah, that's crazy though. I didn't realize there was any mummies in the U.S.
Okay. I don't know if you heard about it, but they're trying to clone a woolly mammoth. How do you feel about that?
So they're taking the DNA from the ground.
Yeah, they found a perfectly preserved mammoth baby.
Yep.
Or mastodon. I think it might have been a mastodon.
Okay.
Similar animal.
Yep.
And they realized that they can splice that DNA and then put it in a elephant, and the elephant can birth that. How do you feel about that? Because there's some people that are like, the obvious running joke is they're like, dude, there's like 5 movies that say you should not do this shit. And then some people are like, also skeptical because like, dude, that thing could carry a disease that like people nowadays don't have any sort of immunity to.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
that's a good
dude.
one.
But like the curiosity in me is like, I think you should do it.
Honestly, my instinct is like, send it. Do
Yeah.
it. Go
Dude,
for it.
A&M does some weird shit like that. The scientists at A&M were the first people to ever clone anything.
Was it a sheep?
Yeah.
Yeah, heard of that.
Dude, that is. How do you feel about that?
Cloning in general?
Yeah. My like moral dilemma with it is like I don't think you should ever play God. Like I know the only time where I'm like almost halfway okay with it is when it helps women become fertile, like when they want to try and have babies. Like I forget what that procedure's called, where they can like actually put a fertile egg in them.
It's like in vitro. Or
In vitro,
something?
yeah.
Yep.
See, smart man. But that's when I'm okay with it, because I think if you want kids are such a blessing that you should be able to have them. But like, dude, when you start bringing back things from the dead or cloning things, they do it with like racehorses and stuff too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. See, I can see both sides of the argument.
Okay.
I kind of, you know what, like just deep down in my heart, I just kind of want to fucking see a woolly mammoth in person, baby.
Yeah.
You know, and like, is that playing God? Yeah,
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, but
Do you
also it would be exhilarating.
Yeah. Now, dude, do you think they let that thing go in the wild?
I hope so.
Dude, can you imagine being the only woolly mammoth?
Or can you imagine stumbling upon it in the woods?
Oh,
How great that would be.
that would be so sick.
So their natural habitat is north, right? Like they're
Cold.
Arctic Circle
Yeah.
creatures, yeah.
But, I mean, if it's just a baby, that thing's going to get fucked up by a polar bear or...
So, I mean, you got to keep it with its mom, right? You got to keep it with the
Yeah,
elephant.
yeah.
And then just let it generally... man, see, it's tough.
Dude, have you ever looked into how petty elephants are because of how smart they are?
No, petty?
Oh, dude.
I just consider them so wise.
Yeah, and like elephant is synonymous with wisdom.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But there was this instance of an elephant. You're gonna get a chuckle out of this one, where either some guy was abusing it or something, and this was a wild elephant, and the elephant ended up killing the guy, waits for his funeral, and then goes back and like tramples everyone at his funeral. Dude, they're so smart. That's like, you know what, fuck you and your whole clan.
That's awesome.
Can you think of any other animals that would do something like that?
I mean, no.
Dude.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Dude, something that's so fascinating to me, I don't remember if it was on the Bronson podcast, but we were talking about how like animals are getting smarter. Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And
well, the chimps are now in the Stone Age, right?
That's cool, but also scary. Mm-hmm. I actually just saw, speaking of like primates, I saw this video yesterday and it had side-by-side photos. This orangutan found out that a certain leaf had medicinal properties, and he had a big-ass cut on his eye. Dude, he chewed up the leaves and was like using it as like a salve. Healed his eye within like a few weeks.
That's impressive.
That's scary.
Damn.
What if they're like on some Planet of the Apes shit right now, and they're just waiting?
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
I don't think it would surprise me either.
I'd be like, all right, let's go then.
Yeah, let's rock, brother. Dude, speaking of, that movie comes out next week.
I right over there, I have the trilogy on DVD, and I'm gonna binge it.
Oh, dude, you should.
I'm gonna probably watch it tomorrow. All three. I'll probably just sit here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna see that shit in theaters. I love Planet of the Apes movies.
Dude, have you watched the old ones? I think they came out in the 70s.
Yeah, I've seen parts of them. Yeah.
I think they're just so silly. Like Caesar is like an emperor, basically. Mm-hmm. But yeah, dude, I'm so excited for that movie. That I hope it's still Matt Reeves that is producing them, because that dude is a beast. And you can say what you want about the Batman movie, but that is my favorite Batman movie of all time.
Yeah, see, The Dark Knight is just so chronic.
The Dark Knight, dude. The Dark Knight is great, but I think the fact that what made me love it so much is that I was old enough to appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm in an era right now where I just love films.
Yeah, you are, definitely.
And I've been just grinding shows, movies. And the more of them you watch, one, the more you get to appreciate directors, because you can like go, oh man, this sucked, because so and so could have done this so much better, because you start learning their styles. But dude, Matt Reeves, just almost everything he touches is just so good.
Yeah.
And it's not corny. Like those newest Planet of the Apes movies, you're like, you're in it.
Yeah. Oh, they're so cool.
Yeah, but dude. So you mentioned the word chronic, and I and I've learned a few of these words from you. What are some of your favorite like descriptive words?
Oh man. So the one I overuse is sick.
Oh.
Which I need to stop saying.
You did say
that's sick.
Dude, I use sick a lot too.
I say that I feel like I say that 100 times a day. But I love sick. I'm warming up to lit. Like it's almost probably.
I feel like I never used that one.
But yeah, it's lit. I use it more than I used to.
Yeah.
Warm up to that.
Chronic, obviously.
Chronic is up there.
I feel like you're reviving that one.
I try to. Yeah, I mean, it's like a classic stoner line. You know,
yeah.
It's fucking chronic.
It's chronic.
I like saying it unironically.
Yeah.
And seeing people's reaction to it. And now it's just a habit.
Oh, dude. It's awesome.
I guess that's probably like sick, chronic, and you know what I really like? I'm trying to bring back this one, is fantastic.
Dude, I like fantastic. Something I say all the time is absolutely. I love to say absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, fantastic. Or dude, something that I'll say like in my clients' check-ins all the time is like brilliant. Dude, I love that word.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, another descriptive, rips.
Oh, rips is a great one.
Dude, rips. Or like
Slaps,
slaps.
clapper. I call it something like if something's great, I'm like, that is an absolute clapper.
Oh, dude. Banger as far as like music. Banger can be a movie.
Yeah.
Banger can be anything.
Banger could be anything.
Banger could be literally
This candle, banger.
banger of a candle. Dude. Is there any terms that y'all use in Maine that people don't use in Texas?
Wicked.
Wicked?
Yeah.
Dude, that feels like such a like California, like that's wicked, bro.
No, it's not. That's wicked. It's more of an adjective before. It's like you're wicked smart. That's wicked. That's wicked good. That's a classic Maine one. He's wicked smart.
He's wicked smart.
Yeah.
Check out those apples. All right, how about them apples?
Cheesiest line of all time.
Dude, but it's iconic.
What a dork.
Dude, did you ever, speaking of Good Will Hunting, this is, man, I hate that I'm like, actually, I don't hate that I'm like this. I love that I'm like this.
Yeah, come on.
Dude, anytime I watch movies, and JoJo and I talked about this, I always watch like breakdowns.
Yeah.
Dude, so, why can't I think of his name? The therapist.
Robin Williams?
Yeah, Robin Williams. You know, and at the end, he's like, God damn it, he stole my line. You know, he did like 30 takes of just saying different things. Like they just kept the camera rolling, and
cool.
that was the one it was all improv.
No shit.
Dude, that is the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
He was so iconic.
Robin Williams?
Yes.
Yeah, man, he was awesome.
Yeah. It sucks that like people go out like that, man. Like especially when you have a life like that. Like
He was clearly so talented. He was just really talented guy, but obviously really tortured.
yeah.
Yeah.
Effortlessly funny too.
So funny.
Everything he touched, masterpiece.
With the capacity for the drama.
Shit, let me read.
I could do this for hours.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But are there any musicians, actors, what have you, famous people that like influence you at the moment?
Actors specifically, or just anybody?
Anyone? Is there anyone that like you're like, man, I really like what that guy's doing?
I'll stick to musician. There's one guy. You probably haven't heard of him. His name is Tommy Emmanuel.
Okay.
He is, in my opinion, the best guitar player in the world. He's from Australia.
Okay.
I've met him. I attended his guitar camp.
Oh, I do
in
remember you telling me this.
2015. Yep. He is a force of nature on the guitar. Like, otherworldly. To see him live is like, holy fuck. I think really, like, if you strip everybody down, like, if you had a competition, let's say, and you took all the guitar players who's ever lived and you give them a 6-string acoustic guitar with no effects, just standard tuning 6-string acoustic guitar, put him on stage.
No pedal.
Nothing. No pedal, no shit. I think he walks away as the winner. Like, he is so, he just does everything. Anyways, so I think the reason why I look up to him so much is not just because of his talent, but his mindset. He has a really infectious, positive energy about him that I want to be more like that. And he also has a great philosophy, like something that he pressed on a lot at the camp that I was at was like he literally said, he goes like, I don't give a shit about who's the best. I don't care about being on a cover of a magazine. I don't care about winning a Grammy. I don't give a shit. I'm just trying to be as good as possible at this thing
For the love of the game.
like that's his whole, and he really lives by that. He's like, I don't care about any of that bullshit. He has no ego in terms of his approach, and he's like the guy. He is goated. That's another great expression. I feel like.
Goated.
Goated.
I love that. Yes.
So anyways, I love people with that mindset who are excellent at what they do, but their entire vibe is like, I'm good, I know that I'm good, and I don't need anybody to tell me that I'm good for me to feel that way.
Yeah.
I think that's a very high place to be.
Dude,
life.
that's actually a really big goal of mine, because like something that I struggle with, which most bodybuilders would, is, dude, like I've created this image of myself, like chipped away in stone for years and years, and like the shitty part is I'm never satisfied, right? Now, from the outside looking in, there's probably people that are looking at me that are like, dude, I wish I could be like Hadyn one day. And I know there's people that are like that because they tell me, they're like, I'm trying to get like you. And I'm like, dude, you don't want to be like me. And I think that sucks so bad because I hope one day I can be the man, know I'm the man, and not care about any outside forces. And I think and I've been chewing on this for a while, part of what I need to do is to step away from bodybuilding. Like, and it's gonna sound funny, but one of my like methods that I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start getting more tattoos because I know one, I really like tattoos. Two, I know if I have more tattoos, I have lesser chance of being good at competing, and I won't pressure myself to do that.
That is fascinating.
Because I'm not fully in love with it anymore. I am in love with training. It's no longer motivation. It is pure discipline because I'm so in love with it. Like when I'm there, you know, people make the cringe gym bro things like I zone out and lock in, but like that's my place, and I really love that. And another thing that I really love, and part of why I started coaching, like doing people's diets and stuff, is because I get so much satisfaction out of helping people achieve fitness goals. It's like insurmountable. Like my buddy Micah, shout out Micah. We actually just talked about you in the Michael Bradley podcast. But when I turned Micah pro, I legitimately cried in my car because I was like, I was able to help him achieve that.
It's powerful.
Oh, dude. And so, yeah, I hope one day I can step away from it and just be happy with who I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I like truly, and I know we went from like happy to sad real quick, but that's something that I truly like struggle with is like appreciating the things that I have accomplished.
It's a natural thing, I think. What's your plan for that? Do you have, besides the tattoos?
Yeah, I think right now that the main plan is just tattoos because, like I said, I know if I have more tattoos, then I'll be less inclined to compete, and then I'll stop caring about competing because, dude, it is backstage. It's one of the greatest things ever. I tell people this all the time. Is the coolest thing ever. I mean, you've played hockey, you played sports. Sports are competitive,
yeah.
Right? And people, even like your opposing team in team sports, y'all are dicks to each other, right? Like it's rare to have a sense of respect and camaraderie for the opposing team. Mm-hmm. But dude, when you're backstage at a bodybuilding competition, everyone loves each other, right? And I think it's because it's almost in the same aspect of like either for you hockey practice or football practice, like you'll have these really hard practices and you know everyone around you is suffering just as bad as you. And I think I know everyone is like, dude, this guy went through the same shit as me. Like, you look great. Like everyone, no one's back there being dicks. So I love that. I love that aspect of it. But what I don't love is how I feel about myself afterwards. Mm. It takes months, especially this last one, right? So we talked about how I had been having great years. So, last year I got married, competed, ran a half marathon, all that stuff. But like after my competition, which was before my marriage, I got into this terrible rut of like, I'm at the top of the mountain. What do I do now? And I think that's something that just, I don't want to feel like that. I hate feeling like that. And I think I've talked to you about it before. It's like, I wish I could appreciate my successes more.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it's inherent in bodybuilding?
I think it has to be, right? Because it's such a selfish sport which I've only won once, and I was a teenager in a 1v1 competition. Like there was only 2 people,
right?
And I don't know if I need to win, because when you win at things, you often want to do it again. Like very rarely at least for me, can I win something and ride off into the sunset? can't. That's
Right.
just not my character. So I don't know. I don't know what I need, and I think right now the proper thing is to step away from it. But yeah, is there anything like that like you that bother?
No, I mean, I can't imagine competing in a sport where it's like we're judging everybody's appearance. You know, because you have to be, in order to be good, you have to be like looking yourself in the mirror all the time and be like, flat here, this muscle isn't big enough. You're just tearing yourself down constantly. I can't imagine like trying to maintain your positive, you know, like your body image or like your general sense of self-esteem, and then like you go to a competition like your buddy and you get fourth or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Mind you, I've gotten fourth my past 2 shows.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's to me, if I came in fourth at a bodybuilding competition, we'd be high fiving. You know,
Exactly. See, that's what I want, right?
Yeah,
Like
right.
I want to feel happy with what I've accomplished, right? And I don't know. I guess I'm just a super super competitive person.
I think it goes deeper than competitiveness. I think maybe, you know, maybe it will take you getting everything. And I think a lot of people have this. It's not just you specifically.
Yeah.
And I think I struggle with this as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would, to really show you that it's not about getting those things, you would have to almost get everything that you've ever wanted and realize that it's not enough for you to actually begin to ask the right questions of being like, it's in here. It's not about like you getting some trophies on the fucking wall.
And see, I think that's why I want to step away, because I love training. I love you hear that like cringe ass quote or at least I do because of fitness stuff all around me. They're like, the man who loves the journey will walk further than the man who loves the destination, right? And I am in love with training.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, dude, I definitely need to step away from it because it's toxic. There's been times where it ruined my relationship, stuff like that. Because you have to be selfish.
Yeah.
It is a selfish sport. It is literally you versus everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's no backup, you know. But
yeah, maybe just to take some time away to get that perspective, and then you can re-enter in a healthy place.
well, dude, I left for 4 years.
4 years, huh? Wow.
Yeah, came back, felt the same exact way.
Really?
So yeah, I think it's need to hang up the boots per se, but man, it is what it is. I forget what I was. So we were talking about like people that inspire us, dude. I think someone that inspires me heavily right now is John Bernthal. We were talking about him.
The actor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. He has a really cool story, and I don't know all of it, so I won't go into it, but he was like a struggling actor. I think at one point he went to Russia for acting school or something like that. And dude, now he has this kick-ass podcast, and like, dude, it's just it's so inspiring to see people succeed, right? Like something that I've grown to do, rather than like hate on people for their successes, which I don't think I ever hated on people for their successes, but is look at it and go, man, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a huge growing point for me to just appreciate what other people are capable of.
What about like in your regular day-to-day life? Do you have people that you're in contact with? I imagine you're obviously your old man. But
Yeah.
Like who is there people that maybe you've trained with, or people at the gym?
Man, I learned a long time ago. Like, you mean in the sense of like that inspire me?
Yeah. Like,
Dude, everyone around me inspires me, right? Like I've like you inspire me for like guitar. You know a lot of you know a lot of cool shit. Like
I thought you were gesturing to my shoes. I was like, yeah, they are pretty nice kicks.
Yeah, dude, how do you feel about those?
They are comfortable as hell.
Aren't they heavy?
A little bit.
Dude, I might grab a pair, bro. Not to bop your style, but
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. That was funny.
You're good. No, but like, there's a lot of things that you inspire me, and I think one of the main things you inspire me to do is to, like you were saying, be a better person, right? Like I've picked up on that. It's not like you're going, hey Hayden, you should probably be better, but just watching how you react to things, I've been like, dude, man, that's inspiring. Like we talked about it. We talked about it the other day. How I was saying I want to be less judgmental.
Yeah.
And I catch myself all the time, and I'll stop. And dude, and I've grown enough to where I stop myself when I start having judgmental thoughts. So yeah, I mean, you've definitely taught me that. My dad has taught me to be more appreciative of things, because he's the most supportive person ever. We've had our ruts, obviously, but he's always the first person to tell me I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
and
awesome.
Dude, and I think that's the coolest thing ever, to have, family members, especially your dad, that, inspire you to be better. And dude, he has had one of the craziest, I'm sure, I mean, you worked with him for a long time, so you've heard his stories. Like, dude, if you knew that guy when he was my age, he was hell on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
That dude, there was no, like, I mean, he's the quickest to tell you he loves you. There was no I love yous coming from Paul at 25 years old. So seeing his growth inspires me too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I at this point in time, I just want to be a better person.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And just being like, what an incredibly positive thought to have.
Mm-hmm. Because there was a time not too long ago that I was just a dick. And I don't know, and it's weird because I would often say, like, dude, sometimes it feels good to be mean. And I cringe so hard hearing myself say that. But, like, dude, sometimes I was just an angry guy. And I don't know if that was just, like, unfulfilled things in me that, but I don't know.
Getting frustrated or angry, like, living in the real world, dude, that's like,
it's normal.
how could you not? You know, like, it's
but dude, I would
an
just be a
annoying
dick
thing.
just to be a dick, and I, looking back on it, I hate it. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I hate that I was like that, but I think that's part of growth, is recognizing, hey, I fucked up. Probably should fix this.
it's a profound observation to make about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we all have things in our past that we wish we could take back.
Mm-hmm.
And like times where, like, you know what, I was being a fucking ham right there.
Yeah.
Or, I look back to like things in high school and middle school and even elementary. I think about things in elementary school
Really?
that I said to kids. Yep.
Dude, I don't think
I don't really think I was a bully, but I remember being mean to kids.
Yeah, I was definitely
For no fucking reason.
Yeah, I was definitely mean to people in high school.
Yeah.
Dude, which is so funny, like, or ironic to look back, because I was just like 150 pound, like maybe a little bit of muscle on me, and I just thought I was the shit. And I think that JoJo and I talked about that on our podcast. I was like, dude, you couldn't tell me anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you have to experience those things. But dude, we're getting into the last 10 and a half minutes of this hour and a half pod.
Oh boy.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you've been eating to talk about on the pod?
I got a couple questions for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
I've been talking about me so much. Let me, if you don't mind, if I'm looking at my
No,
phone.
dude.
What's something that you wish people would ask you more?
Oh, I wish, dude, and this is another reason why I started the podcast. I wish people could see me as more than a bodybuilder. I wish people would ask me everyday questions rather than just fitness stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like people, and what's crazy is when I was a kid, I wanted to be this guy, and now I am this guy,
Yeah.
and I don't like it.
I don't.
I mean, I do in the sense of I get to help people, because like I said earlier, there is no greater satisfaction to me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I would like people to see me as more than just a meatball. So
I look at you more than a meatball.
oh yeah, we're homies. But I'm saying, like, the general public, I wish people could see me or ask me questions about things that I went through, or hey, can you help me with this?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than it just being like, hey man, what's the best kind of pre-workout? Hey man, what's your favorite protein source?
Or my dumb ass calling you like, hey, what's a macro?
but see, but on the conversely, like, you are a person that asks these other questions, right? So it's always okay. I mean, I will never ever turn someone down from a question like that, but I do wish people would ask me more life questions rather than just fitness.
Okay. And then to return your question that you asked me earlier in the podcast, do you feel like you have purpose? What's your purpose?
Right now, I struggle with it. I was actually just thinking about this on a car ride not too long ago. I was like, did I waste my time? Like, which is stupid. I'm 25 years old. I have so much more life to live, God willing. Because right now, in my head, all I'm good at is bodybuilding, which couldn't be further from true.
That's not true at all.
So I think my purpose is to help people, just in the sense of, I don't know how, right? Like, I don't know if it's through bodybuilding. I don't know if it's through, just being there for people. But I do think my purpose is to help others, just from the sole fact that I get so much satisfaction out of it. Yeah. And I don't do it to get the satisfaction. I do it because I genuinely want to. Because if I'm not helping someone, or if I'm not speaking to someone, like, I don't care.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think you've helped me tremendously. That's the reason I'm wearing a friggin' Whoop right now, and why I weigh my food. Yeah. That's all. Like, all these things are these are all really positive changes, and I can tie you back. I mean, I never ate pineapple before I hung out with you.
Are you serious?
I would never go to the store and just buy a pineapple, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, Hayden's jacked, and he's the man, and he eats pineapple. Maybe that's the secret. Yeah. I'm
dude, actually, pineapple has an enzyme that helps you, retain protein.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, all right.
So it actually does help you get jacked, bro.
Yeah, you actually said it one time. You're like, man, that's like one of my staple meals. I'm like, dude, I'm copying his whole jam.
No.
Like, I've been eating bison burger.
Dude, no. I mean, yeah, man.
But anyways, man, like, that is definitely your purpose, man. You're born to help people.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, and it's not crazy actually, for years, I thought I was this introvert. Dude, I talk to everyone.
You thought you were introverted? Yes. Are you fucking crazy?
Yeah, and I think it's because I like solidarity, right? Like, I like to be alone at some times. So in my head, I was like, introvert. Like, this guy doesn't do this. But dude, I'll be at a random gas station or something, and I'm talking.
You're a people person.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think so.
I wish I had more of that.
Dude, I think. Because my dad, when we first started working together, my dad was like, don't be alarmed if Willard doesn't talk to you. Like, Willard likes to keep to himself. I was like, and I told my dad, I'm taking that as a challenge, dude. I'm making Will talk to me. And dude, I'm so grateful that I did, because we've become like super good friends. I feel like you're someone that has had enough life experience, like we were talking about the 30 thing, to where I can ask you questions and get not only an honest answer, but an insightful answer.
Thank you.
So, and that's another reason why, I wanted to have you on the podcast.
It's been a distinct honor.
Dude, it's been awesome.
And it's been a pleasure I'm so happy we became friends, man. It's been really fun.
Dude, we've become really good friends, and I appreciate it a ton.
Likewise.
But we still got a little bit of time.
We can cut it whenever.
No, dude, no, I don't want to cut it. But man, what else? I asked JoJo this, and he couldn't really come up with a good answer. So
shout out JoJo.
Shout out JoJo. If you had to go back in time to any era where they were fighting wars and choose one weapon to fight that war with, what are you doing?
Whoa. Now that is a loaded question.
Surely you've thought about this. Okay, let's make it easier.
Okay.
What's your favorite weapon of all time?
I've always had a lot of respect for the throwing daggers. Like, I don't know what it was. Growing up, I always thought those were sick.
I think it's because of the skill you need to do that.
It does take immense skill to throw those accurately.
Yeah.
Those would be really cool. One that is fresh to mind. What was the weapon that that fucking at the end of Lord of the Rings when they were in the battle, and I'm bad with names. Like, one of the guys who was riding the wraiths.
A flail.
that big thing that like it was
It
like
has a chain on it?
it was stick, chain, and then like
That's a flail, brother.
one of those puppies.
Dude, flails are so sick.
Yeah.
Flails, nunchucks, different things like that. Those are awesome. I think my favorite has to be like a like either a mace or like a big ass like war hammer. I think those are the coolest things ever. Which
Yeah.
Bronson and I talked about it. Like, if I could go back and be a Viking, and hopefully be like 6 foot tall.
What'd you say your Viking name would be?
Oh, dude.
Bjorn.
Bjorn. Dude, Bjorn is one of the coolest. Be like Bjorn Longboat. Like some crazy thing like that. But yeah, man. So we are coming to the end of the podcast, and something that I, as you know, ask people is if you can leave people with a final message, whether that's funny, happy, sad, motivational, what would it be?
Okay, so I've had this question coming. I've known it's been coming. So I've had a few options, and I was like, okay, depending on the vibe of the podcast,
Yeah,
it'll change the answer. So I think I would like to just read a quote.
go for it, brother.
Sweet.
You're
And-
entitled to whatever you want to say.
Okay, so I don't even really know who said this. I think this comes from a video game,
Okay.
but actually it was in a YouTube comment. Here it is. It's the stone cannot know why the chisel cleaves it. The iron cannot know why the fire scorches it. When thy life is cleft and scorched, when death and despair leap at thee, beat not thy breast and curse thy evil fate, but thank the builder for the trials that shape thee.
Dude, that is sick. So it's
Badass.
kind of like what I'm interpreting from that is like, just go with it.
If you're going through hell, thank the builder for your trials.
Yeah.
I like that.
Dude, that's awesome, Will. I hope each and every one of you could take something from that. And Will, I want to say thank you for not only inviting me into your home, but being a fantastic podcast guest, fantastic friend, and everything. And guys, I want to say thank you for watching the podcast, no matter where you're watching it, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube, whatever. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.